Hello fellow makeup lovers, how are you guys doing? Welcome back to Single Shadow Saturday. So recently I was in New York. I know I keep talking about it. I'm gonna keep talking about it for like the next forever. So I was having a conversation with Karen Harris and Emily Han, and we were talking about inner corner highlights, and I believe that they both suggested the idea for me to go through and like just do a video on all of my inner corner highlights, and I thought that was a really fun idea and also semi easy to put together. I did go through like all of my single shadow palettes, and then I had to move things like 4 times because I just couldn't get the number right for the amount of shadows I wanted and the palette size I needed, and it was kind of a mess. It took me a few hours, but I thought it would be a fun video to film. I didn't do like palettes or anything, it's just my single shadows. Obviously it's Single Shadow Saturday, but if you'd like to see me do something similar with my eyeshadow palettes, like swatching all my inner corner highlights from palettes, I could do that as well because I'm very passionate about inner corner highlights. If you're curious what's happening on my face today, I actually did go ahead and film the first day of a week of the Lunar Beauty Moonspell palette. I did throw on something different on my inner corner that's in my inner corner palette that isn't in the Moonspell palette, so it's like I changed it a little bit after I finished filming the tutorial, but I'll show you what I've used anyways. So let's just go ahead and jump on in. Alright, so I have everything in the Makeup Forever palette. I'm not sure if they still sell these, but I've had it for a really long time. I think it was like $14, and it was such a good deal like at the time when only like Z palette was available. Now you could find way better deals for single shadow palettes, but here are basically all of my inner corner highlights. It did throw in a few wild cards like the yellow that I love, a purpley shade, this one which is one of my favorite interesting inner corner highlights, but overall I tried to stay with like lighter tones, duochromes. There's just so many beautiful shadows in here. I previously did my perfect inner corner palette, and I feel like that's a better idea because it's less overwhelming, but looking at this all together, it's like, yes, it makes me happy, but it's like so many choices, it's hard to decide what to use. But I thought it'd be fun to just go ahead and talk through each shadow, swatch them out, and compare some. I did try and kind of do like these ones up here are kind of more like just plain white or neutral, and then I've got yellow tones here, green tones here, pink tones here, and then purples and blues. So hopefully that'll be a little bit helpful. Like I have a bunch of green ones that are similar here. But I don't know if you can tell, this one is just, I feel like it's the most reflective. That's Amy Heart's Beauty Ghost, which is my favorite. So let's just go ahead and jump on in. Okay, so the first shade that I have here is Blow from JD Glow Cosmetics, and it's just basically a true white shimmer. I bought this because I love the JD Glow Cosmetics formula, and this is a good shadow. It does have really nice sparkles in it. It's a little bit more on the powdery side, but it is very, very intense. Okay, next I have the shade Duchess, and I want to say this could maybe possibly be from Kitten Boss Cosmetics, but I'm not sure exactly. They don't have the brand listed on the back, which is like one of my pet peeves with single shadows. So I'm going to do some research, and I'll try and, oh gosh, me linking all of these. I don't know, maybe I'll try and leave a list, and I'll try and see if I can figure out who sells the single shadow Duchess. But this is basically like a, it's like a thicker metallic formula, but again, it's just a true white metallic shade. Okay, so next is the shade or MM from Amy Heart's Beauty. And again, this is just a very true white shade, but this is more of almost like a satin. It's not quite as intense. It doesn't have as much texture to it, which that would be really nice for someone who has a fair skin tone and wants just a little bit of a soft glow underneath the brow bone. I think that's a good shadow for that. Okay, next I have the shade Lost in Meowter Space, which is obviously from Kitten Boss Cosmetics. I can tell because they don't have it written, but Meowter Space. So cute. So I love the texture on this. I don't know if you can tell. Like, look at that. So beautiful. So Kitten Boss Cosmetics has a few shades like this that I'll be mentioning. This one I feel like does have a little bit of like a yellowy green shift to it, and it's a little bit flaky, and it picks up kind of, I don't know if you can see it, picks up flaky, but I feel like if you just pick up a tiny little bit with your brush and throw it on your inner corner, you're not going to have that problem. So here is what it looks like. Oh yeah. Oh goodness, it has more of a yellow undertone than I remember. Okay. That one's definitely in the wrong category, but wow, that is so beautiful. Okay, next I have Glass Slipper from Luxe Beauty, and this is a white, but it does have a little bit of like a green shift to it. In some lights, it almost looks like a pink shift. This one is more of just a true like satiny metallic shade. It doesn't have like a crazy amount of texture or anything. But I feel like overall it does kind of show up mostly as white, so that's what I decided to include here. Although I can see just a tiny, tiny little bit of a green undertone, but it's much less green than the other greens in the green category, but the categories aren't perfect, so it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, this next one, I don't even have to look at the name. This is Rhinestone Collar from Kitten Boss Cosmetics, and it is such a beautiful true white, but it's that same kind of flaky, glittery type of texture. It doesn't have really a base to it. It's kind of more just like that flakiness, but I don't know. I feel like flakiness sounds horrible, but I really like this. I feel like I add this over other inner corner shades all the time, and it looks like it adds like a glitter or it adds a texture. So I would take something, for example, like this white, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty and it's a nice metallic, but I need a little more texture, and I would throw a rhinestone color on top of it just because it's so beautiful. I've done that for so many different looks. I really, really love that one. And there's a tiny little dip starting to happen there, which is a lot considering I only need a tiny bit to add just a touch of glitter on the inner corner. Okay, next from Kristen Leigh Cosmetics, I have the shade Fascination, and it's kind of hard to describe because it has like a taupey neutral base to it and then a pink shift, and it's almost like when I put it forwards, it almost looks like it has like a yellowy green shift. So it's a very interesting shade depending on where you look at it, but overall I feel like it kind of just ends up being, you know, a taupey neutral, so that's why I included it in this category. So there's Fascination. Okay, next I have one of the most iconic inner corner shades, and that is MAC Nylon. I feel like it used to be like the most talked about single shadow for the longest time, and honestly, it's such a soft shade compared to what I like to use. So there's MAC Nylon. It's just a tiny, tiny little bit of a warm undertone, a little bit of yellow going on. So I do really like this, and I do still use it from time to time, especially for the brow bone. I feel like something's kind of crazy with this because it's like, oh, it's not that intense, but then you put it underneath your brow bone and it's like a spotlight for your brows. Like, it's the most intense brow bone highlight. I don't even know how it works. It just hits the light the perfect way. I only ever bought 2 MAC single shadows, and one was Nylon and the other was soft brown, so I definitely gave into the hype. Okay, next from Luxe Beauty, I have the shade Opalustrous Icon, and this was their Opalustrous pressed pigments or something along those lines, and I'm not really a fan of this formula. I feel like this is the only shade I have that I can semi-make work. It is very, very flaky, but also kind of pigmented and chunky, and it's harder to use, especially with the darker colors. If you want to put them all over your lid, I just think that they have too much texture to them. However, the white one I can use and just take just a tiny, tiny little bit and use that on my inner corner. So it's not the worst shade. This is the only one I've actually used at all. Like, I've used the other ones, but I didn't like them and then I stopped using them. Whereas this one, I feel like I can actually get some use out of. The problem is when you blend them in, they look so, so beautiful and stunning and metallic, but it's like really hard to blend them in like that across your eyeball without getting glitter everywhere. So I just use the tiniest, tiniest amount of that shade. Definitely not my favorite formula. All right, so that is the first row of shades. All right, now jumping into the yellow toned inner corner shades. First, I have Halo from Give Me Glow Cosmetics, which this is originally a face highlight, and then they went ahead and sold it in their eyeshadow pan size, which I appreciate because I wanted to use it as an eyeshadow, and it's a little bit too, the color doesn't work for me as a face highlight, unfortunately. I think I'm a little bit too fair for it, even though I have a lot of bronzer on right now, so don't judge my current skin tone. I'm a little, things went a little rough. It was an accident, but yes, this is a really beautiful shade. It has like a true white, super yellow shift to it. Oh, definitely a really beautiful metallic. It almost has like a little bit of a blue base to it. Okay, next I have the shade Voltage from Makeup Geek Cosmetics, and this is one of my favorite yellow inner corner highlights. I just feel like it is such a strong, I can't even describe it. I just love this shade so much, and the way it pops with different looks. I feel like it is so, so intense, even more in person, but Such a beautiful shade. So it kind of has a similar coloring to it as Halo, but without being so much of a duochrome. It's kind of just like a true, like, yite yellow. It's a yite yellow. Okay, it's past my bedtime. Okay, next I have the shade Hidden Treasure from Sydney Grace Cosmetics, and this is a very, very similar tone. I bought this during their Christmas and July sale just to get to the threshold to get a free bundle. And I was a little disappointed when I got it, and I was like, wow, you're basically like so similar to Voltage. But I don't know if I swatched them together yet. Actually, it's a little bit lighter. I mean, definitely similar, but I think I like Voltage a touch more. It's a little bit of a brighter yellow, but this is a nice option too. Okay, next also from Sydney Grace is the shade Tangy Citrus, and this is a really cool color. It's like a very light yellow satin. So it definitely has a little bit more of just like a true yellow base to it than the other shades, which I think makes it pretty unique. And then one of my favorite inner corner shades, although it's a little bit unexpected, is from Luxi, and this is Lick It, Slam It, Suck It. Interesting naming, but it is a really beautiful soft yellow with a blue undertone. I also really love from Clionadh the shade Soul, which is also a soft yellow with a blue undertone. But I think that I like Lick It, Slam It, Suck It a little bit better. It's just slightly different. It's a little bit brighter. And I don't know. I've swatched them in comparison. I think I did a video of like all my favorite yellow shadows or something like that in the very beginning of Single Shadow Saturday if you want to see how they compare exactly. But I honestly love both of those shades. It's just that there wasn't room enough. I was like trying to be picky, and I decided that I like this one a little bit more. So I thought I'd throw it in as one of my like more interesting inner corner options, because it's definitely something I would throw in the inner corner, especially with the blue duochrome. So those are my yellow shades. Alright, now getting into some of my absolute favorites, we're going to start talking about some greens. So first off, I have the shade Booyah from Touch of Glam, which is such a beautiful shade. It has like that really crazy intense texture to it, and this one kind of has like a white to a blue green shift. It's a mixture of both. Honestly, I could possibly put it in the blue category, but also it shifts blue and green, so it's in the green category. It's fine. Hello overthinking. So there is Booyah. Like look at that. Like that. Oh my gosh, it is so intense, it's crazy. This is one of their special shadows. I think it might be like $15 or something, but it is truly so beautiful. It actually has more of like a pink base to it, and then it shifts blue and green, so makes me feel all kinds of ways. Next I have the shade Celestial from Lethal Cosmetics, and this is one of their newer shadows. It is a white to green shift. This is definitely more of a satin, but I do really like the way that their shadows look on the inner corner. I have a few that I'm going to mention in today's video. It's a very, very soft mint. Alright, next I have Prismatic from JD Glow Cosmetics, and this is one of my favorite interesting inner corner highlights. I know so many people have bought this because of me, and it makes me so happy. And when I first recommended it, it was sold out, and they weren't planning on bringing it back. It was like gone, and I was like, please, please, please. So I don't know if me begging had anything to do with it, but it is available now, which makes me so happy because it's the coolest, most interesting color, and I don't have anything, like nothing else that even comes close to this. It's a intense blue base with a neon green yellow chartreuse background. It's one of my favorite single shadows ever. It's what I have on the inner corner today, although I did have like a neon yellowy green underneath, and I just threw this on top, but it would look similar on its own without the neon green. It's just that I was adding to a tutorial that I had already done. But this shade is so, so worth it, and they do sales every once in a while. Like they do like BOGOs and like 40% off their single shadows, and you can get this, I think it's originally like $7 and you can get it for like $4, but like look at this. Like, oh, it is so good. I know that you don't look at this probably and expect like, oh, that'd be so amazing on the inner corner, but I just feel like the inner corner, you can see the shift so much. It is just delicious. Like if all of my single shadows disappeared, this would be probably the first one that I like bought again because it is so good. Like look at that. Singing its praises. I really want to sing. Like, look at the base on the swatch, but then you see the shift. It's so cool. From Looxi, I have the shade Limelight, which is a white to like a yellowy green duochrome. Call this one more of a metallic. So the yellow-green shift in this is pretty subtle. Just a little hint. Next, from Sydney Grace Cosmetics, I have the shade Green Mist, which is a white to like a true green duochrome. I used to be obsessed with this shade until I found one that I like a little bit more that's a touch more intense, but I still think it's a really good shadow. So there's Green Mist. Next, I have Kristen Lee Cosmetics Envy, which is originally a highlighter, but you can buy it in this size, and it is a white to green shift. It's a very, very intense green. Like, if you use this as a highlighter, it's the most intense green highlight I've ever used on my face. It's not for the faint of heart, but I do really appreciate it. I think it's a very cool shade. And then next, another one of my absolute favorites is Amy Hart's Beauty Ghost. It is a white to green shift. The base has a little bit of a pink to it, but the shift is just so strong. I just absolutely love this shade. Again, this one was supposed to be limited edition, and they had like a poll like to bring it back. I was like, please, please do not let Ghost go. And now this year they did a whole collection of Ghosts, the Ghostess family. And I did buy that, but I'm still waiting to receive it. So I can't wait for those because obviously I need more inner corner highlights. But hopefully you can see, I don't know, you probably can't tell, but I feel like Ghost has the green shift is a little bit more intense. I love it. Love it. Okay, next I have the shade La Playa from Colourpop, and this was from like their original single shadows. I bought their single shadows when they first launched, and I haven't bought any since, and they are tempting to try. It's kind of funny because I wanted to make a palette of their single shadows, but it's just been like, nah, like there's always been something I wanted to do more. So maybe I'll try some of the new ones eventually, but I've had this for a while and I have used this on the inner corner in the past, but I would definitely say it's not my absolute favorite. It is a really light green, so it's interesting, and it has like, I would say it's a very, very light satin. It's not metallic by any means, but it will give you just like a very, very soft green inner corner. You can almost barely see the shimmer in it. Like, this is my inner corner collection, not my favorites. So if this was my favorites, that wouldn't make it. All right, last but not least for the greens is the shade Spearmint from Touch of Glam Beauty, which is such a beautiful light minty color. And I don't know, it's not super light. It's a good true mint, and it's a nice metallic formula. It looks so beautiful on the inner corner. So I would say this is like the improved shade of La Playa. It's very similar tones, but I prefer Spearmint's formula 1,000 times more. So those are all the green shades. All right, now jumping into pink toned inner corner shades. I'm going to start off with Arsenic from Lethal Cosmetics, which is a nice shimmer. It has a really beautiful, just very soft, like pastel pink shade. So there's Arsenic. Next, from JD Glow, I have the shade Opal, which is a really beautiful, soft pink. I just love their formula, and this is one of those that's just so buttery, smooth, and metallic. It's just so good. Like, look at that. Literally can't beat it. Next, I have the shade Shimma Shimma from Makeup Geek, which has been very well loved. It's a pretty like champagne soft, just slightly pink inner corner. It's very, very soft, and it's probably just because mine is so old. And again, it kind of is one of those shades where it looks like such a soft color. Like, it doesn't even look like, you can't even see a sheen to it, but when you put it underneath the brow bone, it is very, very intense. It also makes a good neutral inner corner shade, so it's a good one. Next, I have Catastrophic from Kitten Boss Cosmetics. Catastrophic. They're so cute. This might actually have a tiny little bit of a green shift to it, but it's kind of a pink base, and again, it's a little bit more of like that glittery kind of texture. It's not quite as much as Rhinestone Collar and Lost in Meowter Space, but it is still a little bit more than some other brands. So there's what it looks like. Yeah. Yeah, it's mostly pink with just the tiny little bit of green when you look in certain lighting. Next I have the shade Seraphine from Cloud Beauty. Overall, I don't really love their shadows. This was the only one I was super impressed with. It's a very thin formula. It kind of feels, it's very powdery. I don't know if you can tell, but it is a really cool shade. It's a very nice light pink, and it does have like sparkles running throughout it. So yeah, I like the texture that it gives. Next I have the shade Red Mist from Sydney Grace Cosmetics, which is a white to red shift, but it's honestly more of like just a pink. It's not super red. Very curious to see how this is going to compare to Red Jupiter from Terra Moon Cosmetics, because I bought some of their like iridescent things, and this is more of just like a satin. It's not like a super intense texture or anything. Yeah, I would say maybe a little bit of red, but mostly just a pink shift. Okay, next I have I'm Peachless from Makeup Geek, which is a duochrome, and it kind of has like a red orangey shift to it. I actually haven't used this in a really long time, but I pulled it back out because every time I ask for like favorite inner corner recommendations and stuff, someone always says I'm Peachless, and I keep telling myself like I need to pull that back out. I need to use it again, and I can definitely see why someone would love it. Like, it does have a really cool shift to it. Plus, I love Voltage so much, which is the same. It was also from the Makeup Geek duochrome line, so I figure I should definitely pull this one back out, and I'm excited to use it more. It's definitely a cool color. Okay, next I have Pearl from Amy Hearts Beauty, which is a very light white pink. And it's kind of just, I mean, I guess it is the metallic. There's what it looks like. It's kind of a thicker formula. Just a soft pink. And then next, also from Amy Hearts Beauty, is the shade Surprise Baby, which might have been limited edition, but it is a white to pink duochrome. The texture on this one isn't as thick as the previous one, but it does have a nice shift to it. It's more of just a satin. So those are all my pink inner corner shades. I just realized I had one more pink that I missed, and it is Whimsical from Makeup Geek. I don't know how I missed it, but this is one of their foiled shadows, so it is a very intense metallic texture. I'll just go ahead and do this one on my hand just to show you. I mean, I don't know what kind of swatch that was, but there is Whimsical. So it's a really beautiful shade. I love this one on the inner corner. I love the foiled shadows in general. I feel like they're highly foiled, so that's what I go for. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and do all my purple and blue shades, starting off with purple, although this first one here is purple and blue together. This is JD Glow Cosmetics Good God, and it is a purple-blue duochrome. Again, probably not something you'd immediately think to put on your inner corner, but it has so many shifts to it. It is a lighter shade. It's super glittery, so I feel like if you do any type of smoky eye with like a darker look, like all over the lid, like a dark purple, a dark blue, a black, and then pop this on your inner corner, it's heavenly. And the formula, again, like I just barely touched it. Like, look at that. It is crazy, like so good. I can't get over it. Like, look at that. So stunning. So it does have a little bit of a deeper base to it, as you can see, and because I'm so fair, I definitely wouldn't wear this with a lighter eye look. Like I said, I would pair this with something darker on the lid, but it is phenomenal. No! No! Oh no. Oh, I just broke it. Press it in, press it in. Wow. Wow. Literally shoved my thumb in it, and the whole, like, I saw pan. I don't want to see pan. On the bright side, we can do a giant swatch. Look at that shade. So beautiful. Even when you accidentally break it. Alright, now next from Luxi Beauty, I have the shade Walk of Shame, which is like a a pink purple duochrome. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit heartbroken over what I just did to Good God, but this is a really, really beautiful shade as well. I love the duochrome. It's, I don't know, it kind of just looks purple there, but I think it has like this ultraviolet look to it on the inner corner, and again, it kind of just looks like a satin, but it looks very, very intense on the inner corner. And this is when I love doing this and then adding Kitten Boss Rhinestone color on top. I think that is a phenomenal combination. Okay, next I have Phantom from Makeup Geek, which is another one of their duochromes, and it's kind of like a white to a soft purple lavender shade. Again, haven't used this in a hot minute, but I really want to, and that's why I was excited to pull it back out and put it in this palette. Just gonna go ahead and swatch that. Okay. Oh, wow. Okay, so it's kind of interesting. Luxi Walk of Shame has a little bit more of texture to it, and it's a little bit more sparkly, whereas Phantom has a brighter purple shift to it, but it's just a true satin and it doesn't have the extra texture. Next is the Makeup Geek Foiled Shadow in the shade Daydreamer, which is a really beautiful metallic just lavender. I used to like dream about this shadow before I owned it, and I really should use it more. It's just a really, really beautiful soft purple. Again, probably not everyone's favorite inner corner shade, but I'm about it. Next I have the shade Ortoire from Touch of Glam, and it kind of just ended up here because it's a mixture of pink and blue, and sometimes you can see some green. It's all kinds of different shifts. It's a very interesting shade. It's definitely a little bit more on the powdery side, but it has a really cool duochrome to it. I would say mostly pink and blue. See, looking on the screen and looking in front of me in my mirror, it looks green and it looks like what is this even doing in this category? But looking from the side here, it has like almost the exact same base color to it as Phantom, like that really light pinky purple. So it goes, I promise. It's a really cool color. Right, now jumping into the blues. First I have the shade Blue Mist from Sydney Grace Cosmetics, which is a white to blue shade. For some reason, I feel like Sydney Grace shimmers on me tend to get hard pan really easily. I really need to get some tape out and fix a bunch of these, but it's a very soft kind of satiny duochrome. Okay, so next I have Mermaid Fantasies from Kristen Lee Cosmetics, and this is a green shift. I don't know how it ended up where it ended up. It's a very, very intense green shift, and I think that I accidentally had it confused with Envy because Envy should have been with the blues, because it has a bluey green shift, but Envy's a little bit more blue than green. However, this is how it happened. So there is Mermaid Fantasies, a very, very intense green shift. Next I have the shade Frostbite from Looxi, which is a really light baby blue. Just such a pretty, just soft metallic color. Again, a little bit more interesting, but I really wanted to include it because I think that very beautiful shimmery pastels can just make such nice inner corner shades. So alright, next another favorite is from Clionadh Cosmetics, and this is the shade Glow. It is a white to blue shift. Actually, it almost looking like this. The way the light hits it, it looks like it's pink, but most of the time it looks blue, so maybe there's even more to it than I realized. It is so beautiful and textured. Like, look at that. That was barely touching it. It is super soft in the pan. You want to be careful. I would suggest like pressing down with your brush rather than like rubbing or whatever. But it is so intense and crazy. I definitely want more of the Clionadh Stained Glass collection. Although I shouldn't. I should just be happy with what I have and use what I have. But they are phenomenal. So here is Glow. Looks very similar to Booyah, but maybe even more of a strong color. I don't know. Like just I feel like you can see on camera just the way that it catches the light is crazy. It is so intense. All right, last but not least is the shade Afterglow from Lethal Cosmetics, and this is a light blue shade. It's a nice shimmer, and again, I feel like I'm like swatching this and it doesn't look like that much. It doesn't look that intense, but I do think that these look really, really beautiful on the inner corner. I really like the Lethal Cosmetics formula. So there is Afterglow. So there are all the purples and blues and a little green. I'm not as organized as I thought I was. Honestly, just look at Glow. It is crazy. So good. Alright guys, so that is everything for today's video. I'm looking at my phone now and it's literally 12:52 in the morning. So I'm going to play a really fun game called Can I Edit This Before I Go to Bed and Get It Up Tomorrow afternoon? We'll see. Stay tuned. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, whenever I do videos like this, please let me know down below what your favorite inner corner highlight is, whether it be in a single or a palette. I would love to hear. And that's everything. So I'll see you in the next one. Bye.